microphone when not speaking. If you want to say something afterwards, please write your name or a comment in the chat so we can keep the order. If you want to be anonymous or not speak yourself, please write directly to Theis Irgens, one of the hosts, in the chat field, and we will ask the question for you. And remember, keep it brief. We only have 1 hour. First, I will tell you a little about our work with young audiences before I let Theis and Ingvild from Assitej lead us in the conversation. When we heard of the topic for the next Assitej Festival and how they want to raise questions about how performing artists shape, represent, and present young people's voice on stage, we got very excited because this is something that is very close to our heart. Scenekunstbruket started the young critics blog Unge, which means young voices in Norwegian, in 2012 because we wanted to form a platform for and by the young audience. Since then, we have hosted several teenagers at critics at Showbox and other festivals. It is important for us to work with them and make them understand that their voice is important to us. We want to listen and that their voice is needed in the conversation. The goal is not to always agree, which is okay, and often both important and necessary. This work led us into the EU project Teen, where several tools for engaging the young audience has been developed. And one of the most successful is the kitchen table. All the tools are developed together with the teenagers. The kitchen table is a conversation about a subject run by the teenagers themselves. They sit around a table and one chair is left empty. The grown-ups have to stay outside this ring and listen to the conversation. They can join by sitting down at the empty chair, but they are not allowed to adult-splaining to the teenagers what they are supposed to mean or understand. This conversation format is something we have facilitated at all the festivals involved in the EU project, and the teenagers have gone to other festivals teaching others how to do a kitchen table. We also did a kitchen table at the Assitej Festival in Kristiansand, which was a huge success. And our experience is that this form is gives a very good reflected conversation, and the teenagers feel respected and listened to. The EU project is coming to an end, but we hope this conversation tool will live on. We will certainly continue to use it, and later at the Showbox Festival on Friday, we will have a kitchen table that you can see online. With this, I pass the microphone over to Theis and Ingvild from Assitej Norway. Thank you.
Thank you so much, and thank you everyone for coming. It's really great to see you all. And yes, my name is Ingvild. I'm the general manager of Assitej Norway. I'm also an actor, director and playwright, so hopefully I can contribute into this conversation on several levels. With me, I have my favorite colleague in Assitej Norway, which is Theis, and he can introduce himself.
Hi, my name is Theis. I am the other one in Assitej Norway. We are two. I'm in Kristiansand, where I live. So we are used to having our work meetings online even before there was any lockdown. Yeah, my main focus is being the producer of our festival. Used to be called Sound Festival, now Norwegian Assitej Festival, like it used to be called. So yeah.
Great. maybe not everyone is familiar with Assitej and our work, so we just wanted to present some of our work for you. And then we're going to go into a little sort of mood board about the topic of today. And after that, we will be talking about how we represent and present young people's voices on stage and in performing arts today. So I'm going to share the screen with you now. And give me 2 seconds. Here we go. So, Assitej Norway. What is Assitej and why the tricky name? I've heard it a lot that people are just wondering about this, and feel free to laugh out loud of my French now. Assitej is the abbreviation of Association Internationale du Théâtre pour les Enfants et la Jeunesse. Yes, and it was formed by a number of international artists in 1965 in Paris, hence the French, and thus slightly tricky name. It is the world's largest network within TYA, with some 80 countries, membering countries, and they're all working to empower theatre for young audiences. Our work is grounded in the UN Child Convention Article 31, stating, among other things, that children have the right to take part in cultural activities. And Assitej Norway, we are a national centre, and we work to promote Norwegian performing arts internationally and international performing arts in Norway. And we try to ensure diversity and inclusion and build bridges between cultures, nation, and artistic practices. We regard ourselves as ambassadors for our members, both nationally and internationally, and also Norwegian theatre for young audiences practices. We celebrate international exchange and performing arts for young audiences through our festival, the Assitej Festival in Kristiansand. And nationally, we do it with the Teaterlørdag Unge program, which is Theatre Saturday for young kids. Just to say a little bit more about Theatre Saturday for young kids, it's happening in Oslo. It's supported by the Oslo City Council, and it's a collaboration between Sentralen, where I am right now, and Assitej Norway. It's one Saturday a month, and this gives our members the opportunity to show their performances for Oslo-based audience, but also programmers that are often located in Oslo. So it's a good opportunity, and we also promote them through our newsletters. So that's how we try to work for our members here. We're also part of the Nordic Baltic Network. I think I could see some from the network here today, so great, thank you. And this is a strong Nordic Baltic network. We support each other, and within the world's largest network within TYA, it's kind of okay to be a little group. We have had Nordic Baltic venues presenting Nordic Baltic TYA companies, and we have collaborations on several projects. We also have coffee sessions on Zoom, or we've at least had them during COVID-19, which is really nice to talk, share experience on how we deal with it all, and advice on how to keep working within the corona restrictions. The next coffee session, feel free to join. It's going to be in January, and it's actually going to be hosted by us in Norway and Sweden. Yes, I'll just move on. I'll pass on the word to Thijs. He's going to talk a little bit about artistic gathering.
Yes. I'll just start with a little bit about what the Assitej Artistic Gathering is. It's huge, and it's really a new thing every year, so it's a bit hard to do, but I will give you a picture of it. It's something that's all about creating a meeting place for the field of TYA across the globe once a year. Assitej on an international level used to meet up every 3 years when there's a World Congress, but that became too rare, too long time between the meetings, so they decided to launch these artistic gatherings in the two years in between. And this really is the place to go to get inspiration and new ideas and learn about what's going on in the field of TYA everywhere in the world. And that's both artistically and also politically, really. Every artistic gathering is hosted by a national center that either has their own festival or collaborates with an already existing festival. And because of this arrangement, it means that the artistic gathering will be in any part of the world and travels around all over. And it also means that even though some of the program is the same every time that the Assitej International is hosting, the whole event is really something completely different every time, because there's an existing festival that makes the format change every time. And the most recent of the artistic gatherings was, as Elin said, in Kristiansand last year, hosted by us, Assitej Norway. And in September last year, we had 563 delegates in total, with everyone attending either in the program or as delegates from 45 countries. We had 22 productions in total and 50 professional program events, which makes it by far the biggest festival that Assitej Norway has hosted. And one of the most prominent features of our gathering, that was the logistical density of the festival. Every festival event was held within 5 minutes of walking distance from each other, and 2/3 of all of the program was in one building, which is Kilden Theatre and Concert Hall. So for that artistic gathering, a lot of people spent much less time commuting within the festival venues or between the festival venues, and had a lot of more time to just meet up. And during that week, I was extremely busy, did not get to see that many performances, but my base was in the foyer at Kilden. So one thing I did experience was to see just how many both planned and spontaneous meetings that were going on in the foyer that week, which was amazing to see. Yeah, so that's a little bit about...
Great, thank you, Thijs. Artistic gatherings, as you said, is a wonderful opportunity to meet programmers and artists from all over the world. And unfortunately, this year didn't happen. It was supposed to be in Tokyo. I started this job 1st of February. I was very much looking forward to go to Tokyo and experience this wonderful World Congress. That didn't happen. It's also being run digitally in March. So 2021. So this is the reason why the next two artistic gatherings will be in 2022 and 2023. And they will be in Sweden and Serbia. The first one is then in Bibu Festival in 2022. It's called Leave No One Behind. And as all Norwegians can see, it's actually starting on our National Day, 17th of May. But even though I hope that a lot of Norwegians will go, as it's our neighboring country, and it's a great, great opportunity. They will focus on sustainability. And yes, we're looking forward to learn more about what they're looking for and when they will start their programming. And we will, of course, let you know. And then the following is the Jump In Belgrade in Serbia, which will also happen in May. I'm not 100% sure about the dates, but it's in 2023. And they will be exploring and reflecting on new tendencies in TYA. So yes, things to look forward to. But before that happens, we have our very own festival, the Assitejfestivalen in Kristiansand in September 2021. And Thijs is the project manager for this, so he will talk a little bit more about that.
Yeah. Before I talk about our next festival, I would just like to say a little bit about theme programming. Programming a festival on the basis of one specific theme is something that Assitej Norway has done since 2013. It was tested then, and we've done that every year since. And our goal is that the whole program, all events, performances, and professional program events, everything can be an interesting input or perspective or an argument into one big discussion that relates to this one theme. And this way of programming is super interesting. It's fun, but it's also quite terrifying at the same time. When you narrow the scope like that, a lot of good productions will be excluded, and you will have to not pick them, even though you might want to, and it's high quality. But at the same time, that scope creates a set of rules in a way that can help you find productions that you might otherwise not be able to find or easy to overlook. So for our next festival, we've chosen Voice as the festival theme and Talk to Me as the tagline. The most important question that we ask ourselves when programming is, how does the performing arts shape, represent, and present the young people's voices on stage? And our programming process has only just begun. We've had a call out, and the deadline has been, and we have a bit more than 70 applications, and we've had our first meeting in the Artistic Council. So that's just starting, but the theme has already had an influence on how we are programming in at least two ways that I would like to say something about. The first one is that the Artistic Council this time also have teenagers in the council. We are 8 in total, and 3 of them are teenagers living in Kristiansand. Since this is the first time, all 3 of them are interested in performing arts and go to a drama school. They are between the age of 13 and 19. And the second is that we are centering the professional program at the festival around a youth delegate program with teenagers from Norway and hopefully all the Nordic and Baltic countries. And this is something we tested out last year at the Artistic Gathering in Kristiansand, where we made a program that was mainly exclusively for the youth delegates and not for the other professional delegates at the festival. But one of the things that we learned was that the events made specifically for the teenagers, there was a lot of interest to go to these events from other delegates. And in some cases, when there was room for more people, we allowed other delegates to join. And a lot of the teenagers gave us feedback afterwards that sharing their program events with the other delegates was very interesting and a positive thing. So learning from that, we are thinking to make one professional program that's made for all of the delegates, both youth delegates and professional delegates. So that's already on the way, and then we are excited to see which productions and that the program will consist of, but that's still far away.
Great, thank you. That's basically what we have, but before we go, we're gonna show you a mood board film just to get our mindset sort of focused on what we're talking about today, young people and their voices. So just sit back and enjoy. Okay, so that was it. So the question is, how do we manage to reproduce the voice of young people without just being a weak echo? And are we able to create a language that resonates with the young audience, both verbally and non-verbally? This is what we're talking about today. And I see that Christina Kjellsberg is here. Yes, I know that you have to leave early, so I'd love to hear something from you. Christina Kjellsberg is also the head of the board of Assitej Norway and the head of the artistic council for the Assitejfestivalen. Would you like to start out with saying something?
Yes, I can. Nice to see you all. Yes, how to reflect the young people voices inside the production. I think that's a huge question. I love the theme, by the way. Well, that's maybe not so strange. I think there are maybe 1 million ways of making theater for young people. What I do find really inspiring with this theme is that how to put this, if you want to find out which voices who's not heard in the society, you need to listen for the one who is silenced. And I think that a lot of young people and children are silenced in the society. We might hear them scream and so, but do we really listen? We are, of course, inspired by the Fridays for Future. I think this diverse world we're living in, and also a world which the polarization is going wider and wider, we need to, or we have an obligation to start listening and listen deeply to what is being said. The problem with listening is that you might get offended, and we have to risk that. I'm very happy to have the 3 young people with us in the Artistic Council. I'm looking so much forward to hear their voices inside our programming, and they've already shown us that they're very capable, and it's really funny to have them there and good. So I mean, we could start about talking about you always have to have a reference group and so on and so on. I don't think so. I think there's like a million ways, but we need to start bringing them in and listen deeply to what is being said. I don't think I should say anything more. Maybe someone else wants to speak up.
Thank you, Christina. Does anyone else want to comment on that, or comment on the film that we saw? Or yes, I saw Odne raising his hand.
Hello, everyone. How are you? Yes, just want to say something, because we started this Unge Stemmer, Young Voices. We're all Norwegian here, but not at Facebook now. Because we, at the festival, Showbox, we saw that, of course, as we see, we are all grown-ups that are programming the festivals, and also decide what's going into this cultural school bag as a big project in Norway. And so it was important for us to find ways and methods to have the voices from at least teenagers. So we started this Young Voices and have bloggers at the festival, and it was quite interesting, because what they did was actually some of the performances, the view of what we saw as adults was turned a little around. It could be performances that we saw as grown-ups, like, what is this? I mean, it can't be, we can't show this in schools and everything. But then they come out and say that this is about our life. That's how we have it in our school and schoolyard. So it was an important initiative to bring that method further on, and that's why also, as Elin talked about, this EU project, this teen project, which also Annette, Therese have been involved in, is to go further on to see if we can both make it internationally, of course, but make a language in how we talk about art and performing arts, and also make them produce co-programming the festivals? How can we make young people involved in our job to program festivals, and that we also have a workshop with that later this this afternoon. So yeah, that's some word from here.
Thank you, Odna. That was great. It's funny how I at home I have 2 teenagers and 1 4-year-old, and particularly with the teenagers, you think that you know them, and then suddenly you're very surprised. And I have many conversations, particularly with my daughter, and her perspectives on things very often amaze me and makes me more curious to find out more. So that's yeah, that's great. I'm just trying to look in the chat now. Is there Birute, our friend from Lithuania? Would you like to say something?
Yes. Hi, everybody. Really nice to participate here and see faces that I already know. I'm choreographer from the Sema Dance Theater, and also already now a member of a board of Lithuanian Assitej. And as I do performances for babies, so I was thinking, and it's dance performances. So I was thinking maybe it would be good to expand understanding of audience and voice, more to kind of also not talking through words, but talking through movements, especially for those like babies until 1 year or 2 years, they do not speak at all. So in my performances, when we create them, the voice of audience is very, very obvious, because we invite babies, of course, parents with babies, to participate in creative process, so we could kind of understand what they want to tell us regarding our creations. So, because what I feel mostly that when we talk about theater and voices, it's mostly we have probably in mind children that can speak already, you know, like can make a sentence, so they can express their attitudes or their opinions. And it's more connected with drama performances, as far as I understand. So I was thinking, how or is it possible to open up about voices through movements, and with those who are not able to speak any other languages yet? So just some kind of comment, and thank you.
Thank you so much. I find that very interesting too. As a director, I work with a movement-based expression, and of course, you always want to find something that's authentic or does communicate and resonate. Does anyone else want to comment on this, or have any thoughts on this? Thijs, you and me, we talked a little bit about yesterday about kind of the difference in how we tell stories from dance and theater, that the narrative is slightly more, and correct me if I'm totally wrong, more open within dance performance than theater, following a more linear way of story, more linear storytelling. Are there any dances here? Would you like to comment on it? No? Yeah.
We have a question that's been posted on Facebook, and it's a question to elaborate how we define theater for young audiences. For me, regarding our festival, it's for us. It's from 0 years to 20. That's our scope, age wise. But theater for young audiences, it does not mean that the work have to have been created specifically for a young audience. In 2016, part of the festival theme was to program performances that were initially not made for a young audience, but practically, the practical definition is performing arts made for an audience between 0 and 20 years. That might not be the only way to define it.
Does anyone else want to comment on that? Elin or Odna or anyone?
We have this Norwegian tourist, what's it called, Turistforeningen, that has their definition of young is up till 27. So I think we have something to work on. Now when we also now start to build up this theater, Kloden theater, is we will also work with all from babies and up to 25, I think. But this age group from 18 and up, 20, 25, begin to be it's a you can always show almost everything for them, of course. So yeah. In the cultural rucksack, cultural school bag, maybe it's called now, program, we have the definition in the up to videregående high school in Norway.
Can I also a little bit talk about the notion of theater? Because I remember in one of coffee sessions, Assitej, we were talking about that, and also Yvette Harde, the president of Assitej International, we came up that we actually need to expand and name it now performing arts. Remember, yes, performing arts for children and young audience, because it's mostly when we say theater, it's more like drama or puppet theater probably. And now it's so many like dance and new circus and mixed all things. And now also when we have a lot of things in made like with the technologies that, not only just streamed, but also made to watch, So we were thinking that theater, either we change the title or it really expands, and theater now is everything that we think that it's performing arts. So I think it's also this notion should be kind of, when we speak and in this context, we need to understand that it's much more than just drama theater.
Absolutely, Birute. We've been talking a lot about that. In Norway, we constantly use performing arts for a young audience. We do not limit it to theatre, because, as you say, there are so many disciplines within performing arts, and it's very important for us to, both in the Assitej Festival and in Theatre Saturday, to include all or as many disciplines as possible. And I think also this is important for a young audience to be introduced to a wide range of performing arts. So thank you for pointing that out. Yes. Also, I'd like to say that you are as young or old as you feel, isn't it? And no, all this shaking his head. But I think one of the great things about Theatre Saturday is that we give children and parents an opportunity to experience a performance together. In the cultural rucksack, you have touring in schools, which excludes the parents from the joint experience. So the most successful, in my opinion, is performances that work for both groups, and maybe on different levels or on different topics, but they have this duality within them that they actually resonate with both children, young and old parents. So I think, yeah, it's a great question, because it's a lot of different ways to go about how you create something for a young audience, I think. We have a question from Evelyn. Should you read it out?
But me? Yeah, okay. Yes. Does Scenekunstbruket, Showbox, or the Assitej Festival have resources that people who create TYA can utilize to create shows? That would be before, during, and after.
I didn't. Can you say more about the question? Because I didn't. Do you mean resources as people, or money, or artists?
Evelyn, are you there? Would you like to say something out loud, or you can say it in Norwegian if you want? We can translate, or whatever. Is it okay? All right.
Hi.
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 Yeah.
And her internet connection went a bit pear-shaped. Evelyn, we can't hear you. Oh, well. Are you there? There you are.
Better now?
No, it's better. Thank you.
Okay, great. So yeah, my question was related to any resources for people who want to create for young audiences, as far as how to get connected with the young people that you're trying to create for. Money, I don't know, any resources that we who try to create for the young audiences should know about and have in the back of our minds as we try to create.
From our side, I would say that network opportunities is maybe our biggest what we can offer. Yeah, by visiting when we have our festival, that's a great opportunity to make connections and to possibly work with somebody across borders. But we can also help with that in other, or the rest of the year. We know about lots of possibilities for where to meet other artists or programmers, or so at least networking we can offer.
Thank you.
Yeah, and addition to networking, in 2021, Assitej Norway will be having seminars and workshops on these topics and on how to create performing arts for young audiences. So follow us.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, I will also say that it's, of course, it's all the independent groups in Norway and all the institutional theater, big theater institution, they are often working with the special target groups and using the target groups when they make the performances. And we have a big network in Norway amongst the counties and the theater groups. So it's a lot of competence in the network. But and maybe also Annette in your research work for Kulturtanken, you also have some written resources in this, because it's a lot of it around. So maybe you have something.
Thank you, Odne. Well, yeah, my research is on criticism or critical practice, as I'm turning towards as a term now, by youth. So due to Corona, I'm a bit sort of delayed in my workshops, but I hope in this winter to be doing more, like to have some sort of, how to say, actual field work. By now I've read about this a lot, and I find sort of all of these, how to say, it's like you say, the sort of the target group and the complexity within a target group, and how to find ways of both creating and communicating with someone without sort of having this label of, you know, youth or a child, and finding ways, and at the same time not well, actually having a communication. So I'm not sure how to sort of contribute, because I'm not well, my research is more into, will come into this as something in between making and how do you say, I'm interested in what the young audience, how the young audience can, how to say, respond to the things they see in a way that's not pure dramaturgy, as which is why I'm sort of going a bit away from the term criticism. There's, you know, criticism as a service-minded thing that says something about how good you are in your work, if you see what I mean. This, you know, which is also my experience when doing some of these projects within festivals and having like a young audience to work with, that you also have, like Tay said, a lot of the professional wants to attend the same things as the youth. And I find quite a lot of them sort of go there to learn something in how to use what the kids are saying in their own work. And I was interested in what Christina said about deep listening and what that can mean. How can we sort of be in a conversation, or how can I invite them into something that's not only feeding me or, you know, the other adult artists, but actually could be a critical practice for their own sake, in a sense. That's something that creates and be something that maybe I don't understand even, and doesn't really make a lot of sense to me, but that sort of resonates and feeds on for them. So I'm sort of right now working with you know, like Rosie Braidotti on thinking as feeling, and some of these terms, to try to find some of these tools as a way of finding what I think could be like a critical practice, which is what I'm trying out right now. And I think Kitchen Table is one of those tools that sort of opens up for more like a critical practice than sort of a criticism that serves someone else. in a sense. And I'm interested in more formats that sort of opens up for something that's not only interesting for us as sort of the facilitators that we tend to be often as the adults. Yeah. And I see there's a question from Evelyn on how we can stay updated on my research, which is a really good question. And I think some of my publications will be available as it goes, and most likely both on Kulturtanken and University in Agder, where my research is connected. And this is, of course, I hope also to share sort of along the way in contexts like this, to not only be in these, research peer review context, but also like this. Yeah, Odne.
I can't see now the raising hands here. So yeah, that's very interesting, Annette, and that's also Scenekunstbruket tried to, and with also Showbox Festival, try to connect both artists and the people that's working with dissemination of performing arts for young audiences. And that's also one of the main thing with the new project Kloden Theater, that we want to have a place where the artists are producing, and we can have a research team, and we can connect with, I pointing there because this is Kuben High School, that we have a closer relationship to the schools and to the children and youth to come and see and to follow productions, and in that way also build up these resources that that many of us and you we have it a lot of inside us, but to have it written down and to look more into it, I think it's very important for this field.
Can I also pop one more idea? Sorry, Christina, was it you first?
Well, I just wanted to say, sometimes you pop out, the internet is not working so good, but I think because you asked earlier about the nonverbal language, and me myself always find it really good to be in a nonverbal performance. But we did a discovery, I think, at the last festival where we were talking with the Bright Local Play Global group inside the Assitej, and we found that most performances made for children from 1 to 5 years were non-verbal, and this was happening like in all the countries who were represented. Mostly they were non-verbal, and the question was asked why, because I think sometimes we have preoccupations about the target groups. Children from, in my experience, from 3 and up to 5, they're really interested in language because they're learning it. So they get frustrated if we talk nonsense or yeah. So this wide vifte of our target groups we have from 0 to 21 is I think really interesting, and it's not so long ago, I think, that we started to talk about target groups as important, because for a long time it was like not important or anti-artistic or something. Yeah, maybe it still is, I don't know.
So I don't know if I have a minute. Yeah, actually, that's why now we also when I started to create, we were writing from 0 to 3 years, and now I'm writing from 4 months to 14 months. So really to kind of match what they are keen in. And one thing I just noticed about, maybe it also would be useful to have gatherings with parents and talk to them how they shouldn't how to say, close the voice of children. Because what I noticed in my performance is that after performances, if they're older kids, like around 2 years, where they at least can say yes or no or this or that, but when I ask them, so what you noticed in the performance, or what did you like the most, so mother or father or whatever adult is just besides, they kind of wait 1 second and then they start to answer instead of their kids. So they do not give them time to think, and I think that's also the problem, because then we kind of, and then the kid is just standing because mother says, oh, you liked butterflies, oh, you liked this, you like to crawl, you like to catch. But, and the kid, he just, loses his kind of skills to elaborate what he thinks, and he needs time for that. And I think the first problems that we get is from parents, that they kind of do not allow children to think, and then we have they lose their voices more and more, and then we have teenagers who don't want to talk because they think that they would say nonsense or some silly things, so they wait for adults to say something intelligent. So I think maybe it's also important to kind of have talkings with parents at some point.
Thank you for that. And on that note, it's 3 minutes to 2. So that means that we have 3 minutes to round up. I think there was a follow-up question on Facebook. Where did it go?
It's so it does not necessarily need to resonate the concepts and challenges of this age group. That was the question. And maybe we don't have time to elaborate on it, but I would like to say that that is an interesting, very specific question for us when we will be doing our programming. What does our theme, does it mean that it has to be about this, or does resonate, can it resonate in other ways? Can it be relevant and interesting in other ways than being about the life situation directly? Yeah.
Well, I think the answer to that is yes. But sometimes it's just about experiencing something as well, isn't it? Thank you everyone for coming, and thank you so much for sharing your thoughts on the subject. Elin or Odna, would you like to say something before we say goodbye to everyone?
Yes, thank you for all of you for being here. This has been streamed on Facebook as well, and there will be a possibility to see a recording of this afterwards if there's something you want to see again or share with others. So thank you, and please follow the rest of the Showbox Festival at showbox.no for videos and performances and workshops. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.